Dan Illman, Matt Bernier taking a look at race number 10 on Woodbine Miles Saturday. It's the Grade 3 Bold Venture Stakes going 6.5 furlongs on the Tapeta surface. You can play this race with a DRF Bets account and the 300% in deposit matching that goes along with it. Find out more at bets.drf.com. Here's the field for the Grade 3 Bold Venture, and the horse that's going to take all the beating is the champion, the number 3 Pink Lloyd, who has won 13 of his last 14 races, 16 of 19 lifetime. He's got, 9 triple-digit buyer speed figures in his career. He's way the horse to beat.
You know, usually I go through and try to find out what I think it's going to take, something at least from a buyer speed figure standpoint, to find out what a winning sort of race will be. And I just used Pink Lloyd's last race, the 99 buyer. In the entire field, there were only two other performances where a horse earned a 99 or greater buyer. Pink Lloyd has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. It's one of those things. Even money, there's no shot in the world that you're going to get even money on this horse. I think he's probably 2 to 5 or 3 to 5 when it's all said and done. I guess, though, if you are trying to beat him, maybe now is the time, because look, the past 5 starts, he's had a little bit of made a bad habit of not getting out of the gate particularly alertly. And look, maybe he just isn't quite what he is or what he was last year now at this point here this year.
Although in his most recent start, he was kind of up against it from a pace standpoint. It was only a 4-horse field. And when you go 6 furlongs, 23-4, 47, and he's trying to come from last, it's going to be tough, even for a horse like Pink Lloyd. He refused to lose. It looked like he was in deep water at the 16th pole. Circle of Friends, his uncoupled stablemate, had the advantage on him, and Pink Lloyd just came and got him. He has an indomitable will to win. He's the obvious horse to beat, but the horse that did beat him, denied him that 14-race win streak, is in here, and that is the number 6 Kingsport, who beat Pink Lloyd in the Shepperton back on July the 8th, coming from way off of a hot pace. And last time out in the Elgin Stakes, I don't know what to say. It was a 4-horse field. They went the first quarter mile in 28-1, the half in 53-3. Of course Kingsport's going to win that race. You don't judge him on that race. I guess you judge him on the Shepperton. If the pace is fast, he'll be rolling late.
Timeform US gave him a 32 pace rating for that first call there in that most recent start. You don't usually see that. Now look, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him credit for that run 2 starts back where he took advantage. And you know what? There was a hot pace. He went and he beat the big boy. But it was circumstances, I think, that led to him winning that day. And the circumstances that led to him winning that 2-turn race most recently, he's a nice horse. On his best day, I think he's right there at the wire. Maybe not necessarily with Pink Lloyd, but he's at least vying for second. At 3-1, to me, he feels like a bit of an underlay in here. I would rather have Pink Lloyd over Kingsport, no disrespect.
That 28-second first quarter will not put him on the lead in the Bold Venture Stakes. I think Timeform US is going to agree as we throw up the pace projector, and we've got the 9 Yorkton on the lead. And I think Yorkton can make the lead in here, and I think Yorkton can make things difficult for Pink Lloyd. Last year, this horse showed some versatility and ability. Multiple stakes winner, won the Charlie Barley on turf, won the King Corey, going 6.5 on Synth. Last time out the Grade 3 Vigil, you look at the Timeform US color coding for that first fraction. It was red and it was fast, and he was being pushed by that horse Circle of Friends, the uncoupled stablemate of the favorite Pink Lloyd. Yorkton eventually put that horse away. He was no match for Pink Lloyd, but there's no Circle of Friends in here. If Yorkton can get away with just an easier first quarter mile than going 22 flat, 44-4 for the half, maybe he can take these the whole way. He worked a bullet in 58 and change on September the 1st. I'm sending him. Maybe he lasts at a price.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I mean, like you say, that first quarter, the actual number that Timeform awarded him was a 142. So just sort of contrast that with what we just talked about with the horse that was stretching or turning back now in distance. I think Yorkton, I think you have one job. If you're Jesse Campbell, throw him out there on the front end. You go out there, you try to get a more moderate sort of opening quarter as opposed to just going breakneck early on, because I'm not totally convinced that he is at his best at 6.5. I think he's better going 6, but at the end of the day, if you're allowed to get that little bit of sort of a mid-gear run for the first quarter and even that second quarter, then 6.5 is well within his scope. I think really that's what it is. This boils down to how slow is he allowed to go out there early. If he's allowed to get that breather, they can get very brave.
Which makes one of the keys to this race, the 30-1 morning line shot, the 7, Boreal Spirit. 0 for 12 on Synth, likely better on the turf, but has enough speed that if his jockey Gary Boulanger decides to push Yorkton, it sets things up for closers. Look at what happened in the Shepperton 2 starts back. He was part of that hot pace. It set up Kingsport from the back of the pack. If Boreal Spirit goes, Kingsport's in trouble. If he doesn't, all of a sudden it makes things easier for the 9.
And really, I mean, look, at the end of the day, that's going to be one of those difficult things as a handicapper. You're trying to predict what Boreal Spirit's connections want from this race. If they're trying to win, I think the only way he can win is to try to wire the field. As unlikely as that may be, I think that is his best chance to win. I don't think he can sit and try to run with the likes of Pink Lloyd and still be as effective. So then that could potentially compromise a horse like Yorkton, where, you know what, if all of a sudden Boreal Spirit and the connections, they're saying, we're just going all in trying to win this thing, I think that certainly compromises Yorkton and then could possibly lead to a hot and contested pace.
Down towards the rail is Sweet Grass Creek. This is an admirable 6-year-old. He's banked almost $330,000, but Pink Lloyd's beaten him 4 times already.
And from a speed figure standpoint, he's simply not fast enough.
Sable Island is a 3-year-old that's found a pretty tough spot, although it can be argued that his most recent turf race really was live. I mean, that ride at Comet who beat him came back to win the Charlie Barley, was 3rd in the National Museum of Racing at Hall of Fame, and then won the Del Mar Derby. That was also a turf race. His synthetic races, while good, are slow.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, he's a nice little horse. He's done some good things so far through 6 lifetime starts. He's in another area code as far as speed figures are concerned right now.
Loose on the Town, the number 4, when he was with trainer Brian Lynch, was equally as good on dirt as he was on turf. The question is synth. He's only tried it once. It came off a little bit of a layoff. He chased a fast pace. He paid the price. I wonder if at the age of 6 he's lost a little zip of his fastball.
Yeah, you know, you brought up the question about the synthetic. I'm going to question, can he still run? Because we're at the point now where he had been gone for such a long time. He took that big gap between that Del Mar run last year in November and the comeback effort at Keeneland, which unfortunately was over an absolute bog. He showed nothing there. Then he's gone for another few months, and we haven't seen him for a few weeks now at this point. I guess maybe that was nothing more than a prep to get here. Javier is enticed to get reunited, but at the same time, man, what he's shown thus far, I have no reason to believe that he can run with these horses.
If you're looking up for a dirtied up horse, maybe the 5 Battle in Seattle, 20-1 on the morning line for Graham Motion. Last time out, he was bet down to 7-2. It was a good turf course. I don't think this 4-year-old handles any kind of give on a turf course. Note his North American debut off the layoff where he just didn't fire at all and finished last. You take those 2 races out of the equation, you got a win over a synthetic surface over a next out winner and a good 2nd place finish over firm turf. Battle in Seattle might get the right pace set up in here if they go fast early. He's a horse that I could use underneath at a price with Jose Ortiz aboard.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think this is going to be, you're probably going to get the best version of him here this time around, especially if the pace does materialize. The question then becomes, do you think he's capable of running something close to a 100? Do you think he's going to be able to get up into the high 90s? If so, he's interesting at a big number. If not, at the very least, use him underneath.
Far outside is the 10, that Sweet Little Man, who really ran well last time out, finishing 3rd behind Mr. Haverkamp, who we know is a good horse, and we'll see him in the main event in the Woodbine Mile on Saturday. Prior to that, Sweet Little Man was in for the price tag, but it seemed like you knew what you were going to get with him. It was going to be a 91 buyer speed figure. Now, that's probably not good enough to win the Bold Venture, but let's give this horse some props. 15 times 2nd, 9 times 3rd, cool horse to own.
Yeah, bit of an overachiever at this point, and he's brought the connections here. This is one of those instances where I don't look at it and say, well, you're just taking a reach. It is a little bit of a reach, but the horse is produced. He's gone out there, and he said, you know what? I'm at least a fringe contender. Maybe he's good enough to get a little bit of a piece of this. I also don't totally want to hold that Play the King against him. That was over a very boggy turf course. Perhaps getting back to the synth, that's going to be okay for him.
Pink Lloyd, the horse to beat. No doubt about that. The fans don't need us to tell them that. We're going to try to beat him, however, as we take a look at our top picks. You're going with last year's Bold Venture Stakes winner. That's a Karen Road, who got back to his winning ways last time out. Vito Armada gambled. He dangled this horse in for 60. There were no takers. He got a fast pace. He ran him down and paid 26 bucks.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, really, this is the kind of horse we talk about, not necessarily horses for courses, but certain surfaces are much better for other horses than others. You take a look at his overall record on synthetic as opposed to turf. He is a synthetic horse through and through, 9 times in the exact, with 7 wins from 12 lifetime starts as opposed to just 2 for 13 on the grass. I thought that was a very good prep race. Now he got a great setup. The pace was hot and contested up there, and he came and he finished just in time. I think the 6.5 furlongs works for him. Look, I liked him, and I tried to beat Pink Lloyd with him last year when Karen Rowe was at his best, and he couldn't do it. there's a real scenario where he's just simply not as good as Pink Lloyd. But if you told me 15-1, and I don't know that he's going to be 15 on Saturday, I'll take a chance with him on the win end, but more likely than not, I would key him underneath a horse like Pink Lloyd and say, you know what, there's my cold exacta.
Yorkton, the key to this race is the first quarter mile. If they push him too hard, he's probably going to get beat like last time. He does have quality. He is a 3-time stakes winner. I think they're going to leave him alone early. You mentioned that Pink Lloyd recently, the starting gate, well, it hasn't been as great as it's been in the past for him. And in a big and bulky field like this, he may get caught up in behind horses. If that's the case and Yorkton gets loose, I'll take my chances with him. He should be in prime contention turning into the stretch. 6-1 on the morning line for Yorkton. 9-3, 6-10 for me in the Grade 3 Bold Venture. It's a race. It's a great card to bet with DRF Bets account. Sign up, 300% deposit match is yours. Bets.drf.com, deposit 50, bet with 200. Approximate post time for the Bold Venture, race number 10 on Woodbine Mile Saturday, 6:02 Eastern. Good luck.